The rain beat down mercilessly on the cracked sidewalks of the Eastwood neighborhood, a part of the city most people avoided after dark. But for Darren Brooks, it was home. A single father raising his 5-year-old daughter, Nia, Darren worked 2 jobs just to keep their modest home standing and food on the table. Life had never been easy for him, but he never complained. His daughter was his world, and that was enough. On that particular night, Darren was returning from his shift at the auto repair shop, his shoulders aching and his clothes soaked from the storm. As he unlocked the door to his home, he noticed something, or rather someone, on his front steps. A girl, no older than 16, sat huddled under the narrow awning, shivering from the cold. Her expensive-looking jacket was soaked, and her arms were wrapped tightly around herself. "Hey," Darren said cautiously, "are you okay?" The girl looked up, startled, her eyes wide and panicked. "I didn't mean to trespass. I just needed to get out of the rain." Darren noticed her designer shoes, the thin diamond bracelet on her wrist, now caked in mud. She didn't belong here. That much was obvious. "You alone?" he asked. She nodded, teeth chattering. "My name's Emily. I got separated from my driver. My phone died. I didn't know where else to go." Darren hesitated. Letting strangers into your home wasn't exactly safe, especially in a neighborhood like his. But as he looked at the frightened, soaked girl in front of him, he thought of Nia. What if she were lost and scared? "You can come in for the night," he said finally, "just until the storm lets up." Inside the small but warm home, Emily looked around, clearly unused to its simplicity. The furniture was worn, the paint on the walls chipped, but it was cozy. Nia, now peeking out from her bedroom, rubbed her eyes sleepily. "Daddy, who's that?" she asked. "This is Emily," Darren said softly. "She's staying just for tonight." Nia smiled and waved. "Hi, Emily." Despite her obvious discomfort, Emily offered a polite smile in return. That night, Darren gave up his own bed and took the couch, after making sure Emily had dry clothes to wear, one of Nia's oversized sweatshirts and a pair of Darren's jogging pants cinched tight with a belt. He cooked a simple dinner, grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup. Emily hadn't eaten all day, and despite herself, she devoured it. In the quiet of the evening, with Nia asleep in the other room, and the rain still pattering against the windows, Darren sat across from Emily at the kitchen table. "So," he said gently, "want to tell me what happened?" Emily hesitated, then sighed. "I ran away from a party. My dad threw this big gala at our mansion, and I felt like I didn't belong there. It was all fake smiles and business deals. I couldn't take it anymore." Darren nodded slowly. He didn't press her for more. "Well, you're safe here." She looked at him, surprised. "Why are you helping me?" He gave a tired smile. "Because sometimes people need help. Doesn't matter where they're from." As the storm outside finally began to die down, Emily fell asleep in Darren's bed, clutching Nia's old stuffed bear, and Darren lay on the couch, staring at the ceiling, wondering who exactly had just walked into his life. The sun peeked through the curtains the next morning, casting soft light over Darren's modest living room. Emily stirred in the bedroom, blinking away the fog of sleep as the smell of scrambled eggs drifted in from the kitchen. For a moment, she had forgotten where she was, until she saw the posters of cartoon animals on the walls and the pile of children's books stacked near the bed. In the kitchen, Darren moved around quietly, flipping eggs in a worn frying pan while Nia sat at the table, swinging her legs and munching on toast. Emily emerged, awkward in the oversized clothes. Darren glanced up and offered a warm smile. "Morning. Hope you slept okay." She nodded, her voice small. "Better than I expected." After breakfast, Darren offered her a ride back into the city. Emily hesitated. "Can we stop at the park first?" she asked. "I just need a bit of time." They walked through the damp grass of Central Park, the storm's remnants still glistening on the leaves. Nia chased a squirrel nearby, giggling, while Darren and Emily sat on a bench. "My father's not a bad man," Emily started. "He just doesn't really see me. I'm like a pawn in his business games. Last night wasn't the first time I felt invisible." Darren listened quietly. "Sounds lonely." "It is." She looked over at Nia. "But watching you two, the way you care for her, it's different. You're not rich, but you're present. She's happy. Darren smiled softly. She saved me. After her mom left, I had nothing but her, so I do what I can. It's not always enough, but it's real. Emily swallowed hard, tears brimming. I've never had that. Just then, a sleek black car pulled up by the curb. A man in a tailored suit stepped out, flanked by 2 security personnel. His face was tense, but his eyes lit up when he saw Emily. "Emily!" he shouted, rushing toward her. She stood, stiff. "Dad." Mr. Kingsley wrapped her in a hug, but she didn't return it. "Do you have any idea what you put us through? I had half the city searching for you." "I needed space," she said quietly. He turned to Darren, his eyes narrowing. "You took her in?" "I did," Darren replied calmly. "She was cold, scared, and alone." Mr. Kingsley bristled. "Do you know who I am? Does it matter?" Darren asked. "She's a person, not a name tag." Emily's father looked stunned. "She's my daughter, and she's coming home." Emily stepped back. "I'm not ready. Not until you listen to me. Really listen." A long silence stretched between them. Later, back at his home, Darren watched as Emily's car pulled away. He wasn't sure if he'd see her again. But the next morning, a black car pulled up again. Emily stepped out, holding 2 cups of coffee and a box of pastries. "Thought you might be tired after work," she said with a smirk. He smiled. "Didn't expect to see you back so soon." She shrugged. "I needed to thank you properly." And for the first time, Darren realized this girl, this millionaire's daughter, might just be the change he never expected in his life. 2 weeks had passed since Emily had returned to her father's mansion. But things were different now, at least for her. Every day, she found herself thinking about Darren and Nia, the warmth of their small home, the way they laughed together, the honesty of their struggles. It had awakened something in her, a desire for authenticity, for relationships that weren't built on appearances or bank statements. Her father, Richard Kingsley, was trying. He'd taken time off from work, hired a therapist for family counseling, and even tried making breakfast one morning, though he nearly burned down the kitchen. Still, something was missing. One crisp Saturday morning, Emily stepped into her father's study. "I want to go back," she said, clutching a donation envelope. "Back?" he asked, setting aside his newspaper. "To Eastwood, to Darren and Nia. I owe them more than coffee and pastries. I want to help them." Richard looked skeptical. "Help them how?" "They live paycheck to paycheck. Darren works all day and still finds time to be a better father than most men with millions. He saved me without knowing who I was. He could have ignored me, but he didn't." Her father looked down, ashamed. "You think they'd accept help?" "I don't know," Emily replied, "but I want to try." That afternoon, Emily returned to Eastwood, not in a limousine, but in jeans and a hoodie, with her hair tied up and a sense of purpose in her heart. She knocked gently on Darren's door. Nia opened it, her face lighting up. "Emily!" she squealed, hugging her tightly. Darren appeared behind her, surprised. "Didn't expect to see you again." "I brought something," she said, holding out the envelope. "It's not charity. It's a thank you for sheltering me, for showing me what love looks like." Darren hesitated, but Emily pushed forward. "There's more," she added. "My dad wants to offer you a better job, running one of his car repair divisions, full benefits, more time with Nia." Darren stared, speechless. "Why?" "Because you deserve it," Emily said, "and because I want to be part of your lives, if you'll let me." That night, they sat around the dinner table again, this time with Emily helping Nia with her coloring book while Darren cooked. Laughter echoed through the modest home, a sound richer than any grand ballroom. Months later, Darren took the new job. Nia transferred to a better school. And Emily, once just a lost girl in the rain, became part of their family, not by blood but by choice. Richard Kingsley visited often, slowly rebuilding a bond with his daughter and supporting Darren's new business ventures. It wasn't the life any of them had expected, but it was one they chose together. As the rain returned one spring evening, Darren looked out the window and smiled. The storm that once brought a stranger to his door had given him more than he ever imagined: a daughter, a future, and a family bound by something stronger than wealth: love.